Hello everybody, it's Shin here, and I wanted to do another guide video on something I love so much. This is Bloodborne, and more importantly, this is the Holy Moonlight Blade. The Holy Moonlight Blade has to be one of my favorite weapons in the entire game, although it does get overshadowed by its little cousin, Ludwig's Holy Blade. Let's talk about this thing. So first I'm going to go over the moveset. Second, I'm going to go over how the blade handles, what its weaknesses are, what its strengths are, and how I personally use the blade, also the best variant of the blade. So let's get into it. So let's get started here with the moveset. The light set looks a little something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. These attacks do have a tiny little bit of phantom range. As you can see, I'm hitting those flowers on the right. It's a little bit of phantom range at the very end of the blade. It's not like burial blade quantity. You're never going to get that kind of range out of this weapon. But it is enough to actually use on the battlefield. Next up, let's go over the heavy. The standard heavy is a stab. Just a nice, meaty stab, which is actually quite useful. The range on this thing is quite something. As you can see, I'm reaching to those black bricks right there from here. Now I'm reaching past that to the middle of the path. It's super heavy. Oh, is a sparkle stab that does quite a bit of damage. Keep in mind, the weapon does have split damage for arcane, which is unique amongst most weapons in the entire game. But yeah, just a nice meaty stab. Something to note is that you cannot follow up your heavy attack with the standard heavy attack in any way, even through your jump. There's just nothing you can do unless you can do it through a charged heavy attack, and that is it. You can't do it through a standard. It's not like the Blades of Mercy or anything. You just have to do it through a charged heavy. You already saw the jump attack there, so here's what the running attacks look like. The running attacks, this is the light. Do keep in mind you do swing the sword at an odd angle there, so you're going to miss opponents on your right. By swinging this, you're going to miss opponents on your right. It doesn't go too far to the right. The running is another stab. There is no running transformation attack. As far as the transformation attacks go, you can use them in light combos. They deal a little bit less damage. They do about 80% damage if you have silver bullets. And then you do not have the ability to do them out of a heavy attack. You actually have to complete the full animation. This does include strong heavy attacks. Now, as far as its dodges go, its dodge attack is a vertical slash, one of the very few that it has. I think it only has 3 vertical slashes. Its strong is another vertical slash. And then its dodging roll attack is the standard light. It's just a standard light attack. It doesn't have like a burial blade mechanic, just a standard light attack. In its transformed state, it has a very different moveset. So the range does get a little bit shorter here. As you will see, it's a little bit shorter on some of these attacks. But let's start with the first. So first two is 2 semi-horizontal, semi-vertical swings. They're more horizontal than vertical, as they do have a good bit of range around your body. Because of how your character swings the weapon, you're basically going to hit anyone to the left and right of you as well. You can treat them as horizontal swings, and in most scenarios, you're going to be okay, so long as the enemy is on the right side of your body for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The last 2 are actual horizontal swings that are your bread and butter. Getting to those last 2 on any group of enemies is always amazing, no matter what. Next up, we have our heavies. So the heavies to this weapon are a little bit weird. Both special attacks from this weapon consume silver bullets, and you'll see why. You basically turn into Link. So the standard heavy is this. See how it shoots a projectile? That only does arcane damage, and yes, the projectile and the blade can both hit an opponent for massive damage. And then its charge is, there we go. Its leap, sorry, is that. It's another horizontal slash that does fire out a blade. Its charge is very similar. It is a horizontal, it's more of a horizontal vertical slash that fires out a perfectly vertical projectile. And the funny thing is about charging this, you can actually follow this up. And this is a very deadly combo to pull on something like the Amygdala. It's a 1 and a 2. You can follow it up. It is really powerful if you hit all 4 of those shots. The 1, 2, 3, 4. With both the blade and the projectile, you're going to be doing thousands of damage. If you hit something in a weak spot or you just hit a normal enemy, you're going to be instantly killing basically any standard enemy. It is a lot. And then its secondary attack on L2, sorry, is a stab. That stab is your bread and butter for high DPS. That stab will knock standard enemies down. Some bosses will get knocked onto their ass. Some heavy bosses might even flinch most of the time. It's good against that guard dog. It's good against the Amygdala. It's good against pretty much everything. And not only that, if they do get knocked down, you will usually have enough time to immediately charge another heavy and then go and do your second swing for your heavy. That stab is incredible. It's probably one of the best moves the weapon has. As far as its running attack, it has a running normal, which is just like a standard horizontal sweep. And then its running heavy fires a projectile. It's a vertical slash, one of the few vertical slashes the weapon has that fires a projectile. Its running second charge heavy with the stab just puts you into the normal stab state. So, yes, you cannot charge the stab. It's just the same every time. It's just the exact same every time. However, it does consume silver bullets, as you see up there, so you gotta be careful. This weapon's moveset is very slow, as you've probably noticed, but does a lot of damage. This is not an optimized build, what I'm playing with right now. It's not, it has no nourishing gems on it. It has no real big curse gems on it. It's nothing. However, it does have good arcane. And as you will see right here, this is just the standard version. It's not the lost version, which is the better version. It does 903 damage on new game. It's an incredible tank of a weapon that just dog piles anything you hit it with. PvP, it's not that good. These movesets are a little bit too slow for PvP. Unless you can predict your enemy and hit them with a stab, which is probably going to kill them, it's not good for PvP. PvE, however, you could go into New Game Plus 7 with this weapon easily if you know how to manipulate its moveset. You do need to be careful. Alright, let's get on to its weaknesses. Alright, let's talk about what this weapon's big weaknesses are, right? As far as the standard version goes, it's pretty hard to actually get any really good gems on the thing. You can get a couple curse gems, you can get a couple good triangle gems, but as you can see, I don't got anything that really stands out. Just a cursed gem at 21. That's it. Now, as we'll go over later, the Lost version is far better for obvious reasons. You're able to get a nourishing gem on the thing, an abyssal nourishing gem. But let's just focus on the standard version now and the weapon's overall weaknesses. It is a split damage weapon, which is both a strength and a weakness. Thanks to the weapon's standard split damage, it requires very high arcane. As you can see right here, my arcane is 75 and my strength is 55. This is a level 221 character. This thing has a very high investment for arcane and strength. Very, very, very high. To a point that makes it somewhat difficult to use at low levels. Just using it for strength basically means the second two-handed mode is useless. Just using it for arcane means that the first bit of damage you're really going to be doing in the game with this weapon is going to be useless. Now, because of where you get this weapon from, specifically from Ludwig, the Holy Blade, you're going to have to be pretty high level to begin with to even get this thing. I'd suggest level 120 to 160. So, you got that going for you. You're automatically going to get some good levels, but hot damn, it is going to be hard. It is going to be really hard. Other than that, the weapon does have a weakness in its reach. The weapon's reach is really short. It's not even hitting those books. It has a tiny bit of phantom range, but only a tiny bit. Even in its later modes, like its later swings you can do, its horizontal swings like this, only have a little bit of range on them. The sword, you actually bring the sword pretty close to your body when you swing it, as you can see. But the projectiles make up for its lack of range, and that's pretty much your only solace in this category. This is not a good weapon for PvP. Not at all. If you hit someone with a stab in PvP, yeah, they're gonna fucking die. They're dead. If they're not dead, they're in a massive health deficit suddenly, and you can easily just follow the stab up with another slash at varying times, since you can actually charge it as well and release it at any time. You can seriously throw someone off guard with it, but other than that, this weapon has no use. And if you're out of, like, silver bullets, as you can see, it doesn't actually have any use at all. You can stab all you want, you can heavy slash all you want. Ain't no projectile gonna save you. At all. Yeah, this weapon does struggle in that regard, but its weaknesses aren't the most insane thing in the world. Its moveset is just kind of weak and slow, which is probably to pay off the 903 damage that it can do in new game without any gems above level 7 on them. Which, that's a lot of fucking damage, not even level 7 gems I'm using. And keep in mind, you can still do your follow-up where you're heavy, even without gems. The moveset just doesn't have the sparkling effects and all the extra damage. It does 80% more arcane damage with these little effects, which is a lot. And the weapon's arcane damage is already really high. It's 229 on this one. And keep in mind, the Lost variant is even better for arcane stuff anyways. So, yeah, it's pretty good. But the moveset just really holds it back, man. That short range, the slow attack pattern, the nerfed damage on its transformation swings. These swings actually do less damage. They do 80% of what damage you should be doing normally. Your modifier is significantly lower. It does have horizontal slashes, but its first two attacks in its standard phase are vertical. Sorry, its two-handed phase are vertical. So it's hard to justify using this thing on PvP. Another weakness it has is its scaling. It has a B scaling at best at level 10 without any gems on in strength, which is good. C scaling in dex, that's pretty good. Sorry, skill, whatever. And A scaling in arcane. Unless you're an arcane build, this thing is not going to be useful to you. And its physical damage does lack somewhat, thanks to that A in arcane scaling. There are better strength weapons. The Whirligig, for one. The Boom Hammer has another. Hell, even like, if you want a similar weapon, the Amygdala arm is just like this one, basically. It's just slightly worse scaling and better, a little bit better scaling in strength, but slightly worse scaling in dex and hardly any scaling in arcane, but still doing good, reliable arcane damage. And most importantly, having way more range, as you can see. So there are alternative options, but that leads me into the strengths. To show off this weapon's strengths in particular, I'm gonna go into a very famous dungeon, the Cum Dungeon. So, let's give you an example of its strength. This is what it can do. Keep in mind, this guy has more than 1,000 health easily. That is an easy kill, right there. Another good example is what it can do to heavy enemies. That's our target right there. This weapon's strength comes in its combo material. While its attacks are slow, they have great combo potential, just like this. 2,000 damage plus, right there, on what is basically nothing. You can do it again, too, if you want to do some more damage. Only thing holding you back there is your stamina bar. It is insane the potential this weapon has. If you pick this weapon up, you need to learn its combos. And that's one of the big ones. Now then, I'm going to die, so we get back to the Hunter's Dream, and I can show you some of its combos that I have made for myself. Alright, let's start with how I use the weapon, and kind of just the combos that I use for it. Thanks to its unique projectiles, I like to use the weapon in a very combo-centered way. So, let us begin with these. First one off is just a standard light into a heavy. This is good for PvP. If you are using this weapon on PvP, you can go a light into a heavy and then randomly release it at any time. And it's pretty good. You saw there I did a stab into a fully charged heavy into another heavy. Drains your stamina bar, so you got to be in a good position to do that. But doing that on a boss like the Amygdala, the dog, like I've said before, absolutely destroys them. Following that up with an auger, which I like to use with this weapon in particular, just because of the amazing potential this thing has when visceral attacking with it properly and trying to go for those visceral attacks. Because the weapon doesn't encourage you to use a gun with it, I use this one simply for aesthetic purposes. This auger with this weapon is probably the best combo for it in the game when it comes to item pairing. Being able to roll behind your enemy and quickly use an auger on them is way, way, way more effective when you have to get in breathing distance of your enemy just to hit them properly. Just to hit them. See how short that range is? So something like the auger and something like the executioner's gloves to bring back some of that range, some of that ability you're missing, is going to be incredible for this. Even something like a Call Beyond, which is normally a joke, unless you have really, really good scaling and a really good build for it, is still pretty good for getting enemies off of you. Because this weapon does have a good few horizontal slashes, including these, which I said they're vertical slashes, then horizontal slashes. You can use them as both thanks to the angle, so long as you're attacking on the right side. So, thanks to it having all these horizontal slashes, it does sometimes lack the ability to do really good damage to groups. Because every time you hit an enemy with a horizontal slash like that, the damage is going to be spread out through a group, but you're going to be really, really slow, right? Sure, you're hitting huge groups of people, but your attacks are so damn slow that you're not going to be able to hit all of them at once simultaneously. And a Call Beyond is amazing for that, because it's just a burst around you that allows you to really get that damage on groups that your sword might be lacking. Now, let's talk about more physical combos. Now that we've talked about how to use this thing in its versatility, with its slashes, with the equipment you might need from it, let's talk about more physical combos with the thing. Things I like to do. So, as I said before, you're going to struggle with crowd control thanks to your speed. So let's go and fix that. First of all, let's talk about the stab. This stab does actually have a little bit of horizontal damage burst. It has not as much range as you think it would. It's only going just before that second block. It would hit enemies right here, right where I'm standing. It doesn't have that much range to it, not at all, but it is good. It is still pretty good. It is still a really good stab that you can follow up with. What I like to do is on big opponents, or opponents that you can't quite visceral attack with just a single auger or a Call Beyond, which I accidentally did, just a single auger, I like to roll behind them, get them into a poised broken stance, and then stab them. I like to do this with like the dog, the watchdog, anything like that. I love to do that against these guys, because, you know, if you break the watchdog's armor, you can get a good shot on his head, and if his head armor is already broken, you're doing 2,000, 3,000 damage. So a good combo is rolling, auger to break their poise, stab, if you have enough, slash, and then come in with a second slash. And you will do 3,000-4,000 damage easily on any boss. It's really difficult to hit a player with this combo because of just how slow it is. If they get hit by that stab, you can kind of play a guessing game of when you're going to release that. But the thing is, I'm going to put you in a hypothetical. Alright, you're in here, you roll, you predict them, bam, they get hit with a stab. You start charging this, and you decide to charge it to full. Your second slash? What's that? Well, that's weird. Your second slash is going to come out at every single time at the exact same time. Yep, you can't charge that second heavy. Which means it's predictable, which means you can be punished really easily for that. 1, 2, 3, and you have to recover out of it. That's pure punish material. A burial blade user could easily close that gap you give them and fucking annihilate you. They will annihilate you with their bonus damage to dodging attacks like that. They will just obliterate you. And unfortunately, that's kind of the problem with the weapon. There's a lot of holes. Hell, even just in its normal thing, look at how slow these are, right? They're not the slowest attacks in the game, sure, but they are pretty damn slow, and they just leave holes open for you. So let's cover those right now. Right now, a really good standard combo is to go 1, 2, and then into a small heavy. This is not good for PvP, good for PvE, but what is good for PvP is going 1, 2 into a stab to clear your range. That stab, so 1, 2, and into a stab. The reason you do that is because most players are going to try and retaliate you immediately. Just get on your ass, and that stab will actually scare people. If you do it more than once, they're going to learn that you're not actually expecting to hit anything with that. Which is why you hit them with the NPC strategy of doing it 3 times and then doing a heavy slash. That fucking projectile roll catches people. Dodge catches people, whatever you want to call it. A lot. A lot. The stab, you're not expecting to hit anyone. You're just trying to get them off your back because you have hyper armor during all of these heavies. Medium swinging and light swinging attacks are not going to break you. And if they do decide to go for you while in the middle of your stab, you're just going to heavy armor, hyper armor straight through it and blow them down. And guess what? Now they're in a 50-50 guessing game where you could go full charge, half charge, and then maybe they get hit by the second projectile. If they're panic rolling. You know what? Maybe it happens. I've seen it happen before. I've fought people online, as much as I don't like to. And it can happen. The final little combo that I want to go over with this is just easy, is what I call it. And it's because of this weapon's animation when it comes to switching. So, just easy. It's a first 2 swings, into a second, into a heavy, because look how quickly that comes out. The first 2 swings of the light in the standard form, into a transformation, into a heavy. It's easy. That transformation attack has a really good range on it. Really good range. That's probably one of the better attacks for range in the entire moveset. Not quite the second one, but it does have a little bit of burst to it. But that has a lot of range, as you can see. Way more than the standard attacks. I say way more, it's like 3 inches more, but you know what? That's a lot when you're working with something so short. Giggity. Anyways, so we go with the combo again. You can also do the stab and then try and close the distance, because as soon as a player sees you activate that stab, if they're not trying to rush you down with a shitload of damage and kill you, they're getting away. So something you can do is you can go in for a stab, fake a half charge, and then run in for them, right? If you have enough stamina to dedicate like that, they're going to be a good distance from you. Hell, you might even be able to do something like a little combo like this, right? You go in for a stab, half charge them, and then immediately Executioner's Gloves. That puts them in a really awkward scenario, right? Puts them in a really awkward scenario. Because let me go buy some more bullets and I'll tell you what I mean. Because you can catch them really easily if you do that, right? Let's say for only a moment, you do that little combo. And they learn the hard way of what this weapon can really do online. So, I don't have a name for this combo, but it works pretty well. You gain distance with a stab, maybe a jumping swing like that as well. Whatever shoots a projectile. They got a lot of distance. You use Executioner's Gloves and follow your own projectiles in. Once you follow your own projectiles in, do a stab, and you will roll catch them a lot. You can roll catch people a lot with just following your Executioner's gloves projectiles, because they lock on. And as they're about to hit, go for a stab. It doesn't matter if the projectiles hit. If you go for that stab right there, it's pretty good. You can also get a more consistent version of this by using Executioner's Gloves and charging a projectile. You can give them a 50-50 of if you're going to fully charge it or you're going to half charge it. They got to be careful. It's a really awkward scenario you're putting them in. And awkward scenarios like that are what this weapon thrives on. Because of its speed, you have to be very tactical with how you use it. Another thing you can do, it's a little bit more difficult, is if an enemy is right in your face, you can go for a slash, roll away, and then immediately use a Tickus. If you do that, that forces them to one side, and you can immediately whoop or whoop, throw out a quick heavy. If they are continuing to dodge that and they're in your face again, another good thing you can do is just slap out like an auger. Roll backwards and just try and slap out an auger on them. That auger is misranged a lot, so people might get hit by it. This weapon is very good with arcane weapons and items, so there you go. The next best thing you can do with this is when an enemy is right in your face. Because this thing is a monster at close range, you don't really want to get away from your enemy too often, but if you do, if you need a heal or something, you can do a little something like this. Going in for a slash, a stab, dodging backwards, and continuing to dodge backwards. Because that slash, that ethereal blade you create, gives you so much free range, just continuously slashing and then backstepping even is really good, because your attack here with your backstep shoots a projectile as well. And then you can follow it up again. It's a really crazy projectile combo, because most people don't know that backstep actually shoots out a projectile, and you can catch people with that often. Even the roll, which goes into the heavy, you can catch people with that. It'll happen. It's unpredictable when it does, but it'll happen. If you need to get people away from you. Normally you don't want to. Normally you want them as close to you as possible, because your attacks do so much damage. All you need to do is hit one of them, and they're in a bad scenario where they have to be on the back pedal immediately. Not only that, arcane resistance is actually somewhat hard to get a hold of with a lot of equipment. A lot of the best armors in the game are not really high arcane, so like something like the Hunter's Hat or the Yarnum Hunter cap, you see it's like 50. Old Hunters, I see a lot of people using the standard Hunter's garb. The blindfold is probably the best at 70, but you don't see a whole lot of people using these armors, right? Arcane resistance is really, really hard to get a hold of, so this weapon does a lot of damage in PvP, but it's so slow that it really struggles. Finally, we'll cap it off with probably my favorite combo with the weapon. It is 1, 2, into a slash, into a projectile. That just gives you a ton of range if you need it, and does a lot of damage at close range. That transformation attack is really good, and because backstepping shoots a projectile, you can catch people that are trying to roll towards you after your transformation, because you do have some recovery time in and out of your transformations. So you can see that does take a little bit of recovery, but simply backstepping, maybe rolling and shooting a projectile, that'll catch people trying to punish you all fucking day long. Alrighty then, let's go into this weapon's variants, then we'll wrap up the video. Alright, I'm going to quickly rate this weapon's variants, and then we'll wrap up the video. So the standard Holy Moonlight sword is pretty good. It does a lot of physical damage. In fact, I kind of think it specializes in it. It has 2 radials and a triangle, which is good. Yeah, it's pretty good for physical damage scaling and not very good for its arcane damage. It's an all-rounder that has consistency on its side. You don't need to put any big curses on it. If you have any big curse gems that are radials, you don't need that. Just consistency, 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 and it's really good because of that. Uncanny is probably... it's okay. You can get an abyssal gem on it with a nourishing abyssal waning gem, which is probably the best one in the game. You can get one on it. It has 2 radials, which is not the best. It kind of doesn't focus on anything. I guess you could make it focus heavily on physical damage and then kind of forget about its arcane, but at that point, just use a boom hammer. Just use, like, the fucking... Yeah, the standard boom hammer is what you want right there, if you want to do something like that. Yeah, the uncanny is not very good. The lost is probably the best. It allows you to heavily focus on your arcane. In fact, I think it can have some of the highest arcane damage in the game. It allows you to get an abyssal, a nourishing abyssal, and some kind of triangle gem in there. Maybe an older damp gem. This profile does not have any good gems, but you can get like a damp arcane gem. Maybe you want to throw on some like musky gems. Or maybe you just want to throw on like a sharp gem for better scaling. Because you can get this up to B scaling and skill, so if you have a really high level build, there you go. You can throw an arcane gem on here, and then like a nourishing abyssal gem that you get from like grinding for 30 hours, I suppose. And you can get it pretty easily. You get this thing pretty easily set up to being a very high arcane damage tank that just fucking kills people in one slash. That's my tier list. Mid tier, low tier, super duper high tier if you have the right setup for it. Alright, that'll be the end of this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button. You know the whole thing YouTubers are supposed to do. And I'll see you guys